There's a hidden habit, not the wake up at 5 a.m. trick, not the drink green juice and meditate routine. This one is far more dangerous and far more powerful. It lives deep in the shadows of your mind, invisible to the naked eye, yet silently shaping everything you do. It determines how you think under pressure, how you act in the face of uncertainty, and whether you keep going when others break. And here's the catch. Once it takes root, the impossible stops being a dream. It becomes inevitable. Most people will never even know it exists. Some will stumble across it by accident, a burst of success, a winning streak, a moment of pure flow, only to lose it without understanding why. But then there's the microscopic few, the elite of the elite, the empire builders, the industry shapers, the visionaries who bend the future to their will. These people don't just work harder, they don't just out-hustle the competition. They have learned to re-engineer the very operating system of their brain, so that high performance isn't something they do, it's who they are. And standing at the forefront of this world is one man, Andy Murphy. A peak performance expert trusted by world champion athletes, Wall Street traders and high-stakes entrepreneurs who operate where failure is not an option. Andy doesn't tell you to stay positive. He shows you how to reprogram the chemistry of your mind so that success becomes your default setting. His approach blends cutting-edge neuroscience, deep psychology and ancient philosophy into a system powerful enough to break old patterns, master your mental state, and hardwire your brain for extreme, sustained achievement. This is the man the elite call when good is no longer good enough, when winning isn't optional, when the mission demands a level of focus and resilience most people can't even imagine. And today you're about to step into his world. Because here's the truth, success isn't luck, it isn't a chance, it's a design, a neurological design. And once you understand it, you'll never see the game of life the same way again. But here's the catch. Even the most driven minds can be prisoners of their own unconscious patterns. Take David, founder of a multi-billion-dollar private equity firm. To the outside world, he had it all: money, power, influence. But behind closed doors, he was haunted. Haunted by past experiences, wired to focus on mistakes rather than victories. Every deal closed, every milestone reached, was quickly replaced in his mind by a replay of what went wrong. Andy Murphy calls this the outdated identity trap. It's when your subconscious is still living in the patterns of the past, even when your external world has completely changed. You keep running the same mental scripts, the same doubts, the same fears, and they quietly sabotage your growth. No matter how much you achieve, that old identity keeps pulling you back to your limits like an invisible leash. And then there's dopamine, the brain's motivation chemical. It's what drives you to chase goals, take action, and push forward. But here's the twist most people don't realize. Dopamine doesn't care what it rewards. It will reinforce productive wealth-building behaviors, or it will just as easily reward the very habits that are destroying your progress. As Murphy puts it, unless you learn to control your dopamine, it will control you, and it will keep you from reaching your highest potential. That's because dopamine isn't just high, it's a cycle. You get the surge, you feel unstoppable, and then comes the crash. That's when procrastination sneaks in. That's when shiny object syndrome takes over. You abandon the long-term plan in favor of chasing something new, something exciting, something that feels good right now. And just like that, your momentum evaporates. Andy's work begins here, breaking that chemical cycle, rewiring the brain so that dopamine serves your vision instead of sabotaging it. Because until you master that, no amount of discipline, hard work, or ambition can save you from your own biology.
But dopamine isn't the only hidden force shaping our success. Deep inside your brain is an ancient survival mechanism, a system designed to keep you alive in a world full of predators and danger. It's called the threat response, and it's powered by the amygdala, that small almond-shaped cluster of neurons that decides in milliseconds whether you should fight, flee, or freeze. In prehistoric times, it was perfect. See a predator? The amygdala fires, heart rate spikes, muscles tighten. You're ready to run or defend yourself. But in the modern world, this same wiring is triggered not by tigers but by emails, investment risks, boardroom decisions, and high-stakes negotiations. Here's the problem. When fear kicks in, your brain diverts energy away from the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for high-level strategic thinking. And in that state, even the smartest, most capable people stop making billionaire-level decisions and start reacting like their ancient ancestors. Andy Murphy has identified 3 automatic patterns this fear response takes in high performers and how each one quietly sabotages success. Freeze. Procrastination. Most people think procrastination is laziness. It's not. It's fear. When you're facing a high-stakes task, your brain subconsciously tags it as danger. By avoiding it, you get a temporary dopamine hit, a chemical reward for staying safe. The task still looms over you, but your nervous system feels relief, reinforcing the avoidance. Over time, this loop can keep even brilliant minds stuck in a holding pattern, watching opportunities pass by. Flight, shiny object syndrome. This one's sneaky. It feels like productivity, starting a new project, launching a fresh idea, chasing an exciting opportunity. But in reality, it's a form of escape. High performers often jump into new ventures because deep down they're afraid of fully engaging with the difficult, uncomfortable work that would take their current project to the next level. The brain rewards novelty with dopamine, making the flight feel exhilarating, even as it pulls you away from the real work that matters. Fight, extreme action. The fight response floods you with adrenaline. You attack the problem head-on, working around the clock, throwing yourself into massive bursts of effort. It feels powerful, unstoppable even. But here's the catch. This surge is unsustainable. The adrenaline burns out, the dopamine crashes, and you find yourself not only exhausted, but right back in the same mental patterns you started with. For many, this cycle repeats endlessly. Sprint, crash, repeat, without ever achieving lasting momentum. Murphy's point is clear. These fear responses are hardwired, but they are not destiny. If you can rewire how your brain reacts to perceived threats, you can replace survival mode with creation mode, and that's where exponential growth begins.
Andy Murphy calls it the Billionaire Brain Blueprint, a 5-step process grounded in the science of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is your brain's superpower, the ability to literally rewire and reorganize itself, forging new neural pathways and dismantling old ones. It's the reason a person can go from being trapped by fear and limitation to operating with the mental precision and confidence of the world's highest achievers. Step 1. Awareness of outdated patterns. Every transformation begins with awareness. If you don't know the script your subconscious is running, you'll spend your life acting it out. Murphy aligns this with the ancient Socratic command, know thyself. It's about shining a light on the habits, thoughts, and beliefs that were programmed into you years or even decades ago, and recognizing that they no longer serve the person you're becoming. Step 2. Understanding brain chemistry. Murphy teaches that your past, especially your traumas and negative experiences, literally wires your brain for fear. Every time you face rejection, loss, or failure, your brain adapts by strengthening certain neural pathways to protect you from more pain. This made sense for survival, but in the world of business and innovation, this wiring keeps you small, risk-averse, and reactive, instead of bold and visionary. Step 3. Controlling dopamine levels. This is the beating heart of Murphy's method. Dopamine, your motivation chemical, needs to be tamed, not chased. Research shows that consistent, regular feedback and celebrating small wins can trigger dopamine in a balanced, sustainable way. It's the same science behind effective performance reviews in elite companies. Instead of riding extreme spikes and crashes, like the rush of closing a massive deal followed by a crushing slump, you maintain a steady, reliable flow of motivation. This stability is what allows high performers to keep building without burning out. Step 4. Implementing strategies for breakthrough. Murphy blends neurolinguistics, neuroscience, and cutting-edge technology to help clients retrain their brains for resilience and control. He pairs this with timeless wisdom from ancient philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, It is not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. The strategies Andy teaches literally help you change those judgments at a neurological level, so challenges stop triggering fear and start triggering creativity.
Step 5. Continuous mental reinforcement. The brain is like a muscle. Stop training it, and it atrophies. That's why the final step in Murphy's blueprint is ongoing mental conditioning. It's about building habits that keep the billionaire mindset alive day after day. As Aristotle put it, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. This is how a rewired brain stays rewired, not through a single breakthrough, but through daily, deliberate reinforcement. Murphy's blueprint isn't just theory. It's the operating system of the world's highest performers. A system where fear is replaced by clarity, motivation flows consistently, and your brain becomes the ultimate asset in building extreme, lasting wealth. David's story is powerful, but he's not alone. The patterns Andy Murphy exposes show up in boardrooms, startups, and innovation hubs all over the world. And the elite know how to break them. Take Jeff Bezos. One of the richest men in history, Bezos runs on a principle that would terrify most perfectionists. Make decisions when you have just 70% of the data. Why? Because waiting for certainty triggers the freeze response, a luxury the ultra-successful can't afford. Bezos understands that speed is leverage. By acting decisively, even without perfect information, he stays ahead of competitors, still stuck in analysis mode. And this isn't just intuition, it's science. Studies on wealth-building psychology show that the ultra-rich often possess what researchers call mental liquidity, the ability to pivot quickly without emotional paralysis, and speed of execution, the discipline to act fast and adapt faster. These traits counteract the brain's natural survival wiring, allowing them to move boldly while others hesitate.
Murphy sees this mindset shift create something even bigger, a ripple effect.
When a founder rewires their thinking, it doesn't stop with them. Their confidence, clarity, and speed spread through the entire organization. Teams start thinking bolder, moving faster, and chasing bigger opportunities. Passion stops being a motivational poster on the wall and starts becoming the default setting of the entire culture. It's not just one brain being rewired, it's an entire ecosystem coming alive. And that's when companies stop just competing and start dominating. From David's battle with outdated patterns, to Jeff Bezos' mastery of decisive action, to the science of dopamine and the rewiring power of neuroplasticity, we've traveled the path from unconscious limitation to conscious control. Andy Murphy's work proves that the billionaire mindset isn't defined by a number in your bank account. It's about unlocking your full cognitive potential, creating a brain that thrives under extreme pressure, adapts at lightning speed, and sustains success over decades. Because the ultimate wealth isn't just measured in money, it's measured in the freedom to think without limits, act without fear, and design a life where success isn't a peak you climb, it's the ground you stand on.